Okay, so we have two things to talk about. First, a really good new Black Clover chapter. And second, great Black Clover news regarding the new Black Clover movie. So first, the new Black Clover chapter has shown Asta's future ability, or rather his true potential, with a technique called Zeden, which was already introduced in the last chapter. The creator of this technique, a legendary man, managed to split the sky in two. We talk about who this person could be and how, with a little interesting twist, Asta himself could be this legendary person. Maybe it has something to do with time travel, or maybe this person could have been Asta's father. I think this little information will have a gigantic revelation sooner or later. And secondly, the Black Clover movie has revealed the previous Wizard King Conrad. We explain why Conrad might have key magic. We also tell you when the Black Clover movie will be released and where it will be released. If you end up liking this review, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! We will talk about the movie after we analyze the new Black Clover chapter, but before we start with the new Black Clover chapter, a few very important words about the last chapter. You can just skip it if you want, but I highly suggest to watch it. From the last leaks, we suspected that the citizens of the Land of the Rising Sun have problems with foreigners when it comes to trust. They all looked very nervous and even scared. So we said that there might be a certain story behind this fear of foreigners. And if you read the official translation, it is even more obvious that we were right in our guess. Right after the panel, when all the citizens were nervously talking behind Asta's back, and Ryuya noticed the mood among the people, he quickly reacted by grabbing Asta and literally running away. This is very reminiscent of what happened a few chapters ago when Ryuya was able to prevent the future he saw by changing the present a bit. He did this with the two citizens walking unsuspectingly on the sidewalk before the bandit showed up and broke through the wall right where those two people were standing. In doing so, he prevented them from being hurt. So who knows what Ryuya prevented this time? Just compare the two scenes. It's not unlikely that he saw the future once again, and the people in his vision may have started to be not so nice to Asta, and may have revealed something about the Land of the Rising Sun in regards to foreigners, which could then make Asta's whereabouts in that country a bit problematic. And so Ryuya took Asta to prevent whatever was going to happen. Now, if you remember what we have been saying about the Land of the Rising Sun since the first chapter when Asta woke up in this dojo, then you know that we do not trust this place 100%. That doesn't mean that this place and the people here are evil, but that something might have happened in the past that involved foreigners, so now people have some grudge against people like Asta. This is why we can't blindly believe everything Ryuya and the people in this country say. So Asta and we readers probably don't know the truth behind this arc at the moment. Just know the most suspicious thing of all caught my eye, which is actually very obvious, and we have mentioned this in the previous manga chapter review, but for some reason we've never really talked about how strange it is because it seems so normal in this country. Yami said that the people of his country speak a different language, and in fact we see that Ryuya has a kind of strange accent. But other than that, every single person in that country speaks the language of the continent of the Four Kingdoms. In fact, every one of them fluently. So unless some translation magic is used on Asta and Liebe, everything Yami has told us about this land and how he ended up in the Clover Kingdom is basically untrue. Either his memory was manipulated, which would be extremely suspicious, or he lied, which wouldn't make things any better. Something is definitely going on, and the official release even had an additional panel that clearly underlines our suspicions. It says that foreigners like Asta are supposed to be the main cause of all disasters, which clearly proves everything we've been telling you. So much for that, let's move on to the new Black Clover chapter. So the new Black Clover chapter 340 begins shortly after Asta has mastered the basic of key control from the last chapter, focusing the key and releasing it all at once while binding the key to mana, or in Asta's case, to his anti-magic. And that's exactly what Asta can do now without any problems. We see several bamboo sticks dissolve in the background, while Asta was only able to dissolve a single bamboo stick in the last chapter. This again clearly shows how talented Asta really is, and not only that, but that he has already mastered all the necessary basics, just as Ryuya explained in the last chapter. Asta has managed to do something that only a handful of people have ever managed to do, which shows that he's a prodigy when it comes to using ki, just like Yuna is a prodigy when it comes to mana. Anyway, then they proceeded to a serious fight so that Asta can try ki in a real combat situation. Asta versus Ichika. For this, Asta transforms into his full Devil Union mode, so it's definitely a very serious fight. He's not going to hold back. And let's face it, he has absolutely no chance against Ichika, even with his full power, which is really weird. After Asta was defeated so easily, I wonder why Ichika and the remaining 6 Ryuzen, along with Shogun Ryu and many other powerful warriors in this land, didn't just come to save Yami and defeat the Dark Triad before it was too late. The only answer I have is that Ryu saw what was going to happen and that the best outcome would be if everything happened the way it did. Or maybe there's a reason we just don't understand that has to do with why people in this country are so nervous about foreigners. Or why Asta can't return to the Clover Kingdom without help. You see, there are a lot of unanswered questions regarding the land of the rising sun. Anyway, let's take a closer look at the training fight. My partner will now continue this Black Clover video. Enjoy!
Asta's grimoire magically appears out of nowhere. We thought that they might have put Asta's grimoire aside somewhere else so that he could focus only on Ki, for example. Or maybe they were up to no good. But apparently Asta's grimoire was somehow always with him, probably hidden somewhere in his clothes. But despite the fact that Asta has his grimoire, he has absolutely no chance. The people of this land with their advanced Ki are simply superior in battle. Not even Asta's anti-magic helps him to reduce Ichika's power to such an extent that it might lose effectiveness. She's simply on a completely different level. Ichika then tells Asta that Zetten is a technique that comes from a legendary man who broke the sky in half. We have already learned about this technique in the last chapter. Zetten is an advanced technique of Ki manipulation. By manipulating Ki, the user concentrates magical power in their arm. The user then swings their arm quickly, releasing the magic in a vertical blow. The strength of the blow depends on the amount of magic and the speed. This spell can also be used with anti-magic, and therefore Asta can use this technique. Ichika explains that Asta basically has to learn to maximize the attack at the moment of the opening. At least that's what it says in the leaked translation. As always, we have to wait for the official translation on Sunday. The way Black Clover sets things up, we can expect that this legendary person who could cut the sky in half to be imparted in some way to the future of Black Clover. Or maybe he was just already important and we just didn't realize it. It might have something to do with Asta's father, or maybe with Asta if time magic is involved. Imagine that Asta is in the future right now, which is why Ryu says that he can't return without help, simply because he's in a different time. This would then mean that Yami was sent to the past at that time. So if Asta is indeed in the future, it could be that he travels back to his present to defeat Lucius by using the Zetten technique to split the sky in half, just like the legendary man who invented this technique. This would make Asta himself the inventor of this technique, since he is the first and the only one in his present time who can use it, even though he learned it himself in the future. It could also be that Asta is not in the future right now, but travels to the past for some reason, perhaps because Lucius himself uses such a spell, and then Asta could use this technique in the past. Something like that would be a really cool twist, where Asta himself turns out to be the legendary person who split the sky in half. Let's now continue with the chapter. When Ichika performed this attack, we saw all the bamboo sticks in the background split in half. Although Asta was able to dodge the attack, he was hit in the stomach right after. But as always, he wants to keep fighting and go beyond his own limits. That's just the way he is. He's eager to learn more about the power Ichika just showed, but then Ichika gives him the final blow and he falls unconscious. At the end of the chapter, Ryu reveals that only a handful of people can stay conscious after receiving a heavy blow from Ichika, and Asta is one of them. The chapter ends with Asta lying unconscious on the floor. Let us know if you have any questions or what you think of this new chapter in the comments below. Now, let's move on to the Black Clover news. We finally have a little hint about the movie. It's a character design, and it's none other than Conrad, the previous Wizard King, and he was designed entirely by Tabata. The movie itself is probably not canon, in the sense that it's not important to the main story of Black Clover. That is, it doesn't change anything about the plot in the manga. You could just skip the movie and not notice any difference. But the fact that Tabata designed the previous Wizard King makes it likely that if it ever gets into the point where the previous Wizard King is mentioned, it will of course be Conrad and will have the exact same design as we see here. Because as I said, Tabata invented or designed this character. So in a way, the previous Wizard King is canon, but the movie is not. At least nothing has been confirmed in this regard so far. Tabata is likely to address this issue in an interview or a statement. Anyway, Conrad is said to be very popular and loved by the citizens, or at least loved when he was the Wizard King. There is a bit of mystery as to why he suddenly appeared. This will then have something to do with the plot. We see many keys on his body that points to his magic. All these keys can either be made with magic or they are simply magic items. He may have put spells on each of these keys that he can use to either use depends on himself, the enemy, or maybe even the space. For example, opening portals or creating certain effects. Definitely overpowered when you think about it. He could use a key to absorb magic and use it to open a portal through which the magic is shot back at the opponent. A really interesting idea. The name would thus be Key Magic. We also have the release date and where it will be released. Black Clover Sword of the Wizard King, which is the name of the movie, will be released in theaters worldwide and on Netflix on March 31st, 2023. So we don't have to wait much longer, just 5 months and 25 days. What you guys think of this decision? Netflix and theater at the same time? Let us know in the comments below. And then we also have the annual popularity poll. You can see all the results here. Let me know your top 5 in the comments. Do you agree with the results or do you disagree? What would you change? Let us know in the comments. That's it for today, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell turned on. See you guys in the next video. Yami out.